Yeah, this is fascinating stuff. So before the break, we were talking about how valuable it is to work with a specialized agency. Like Hook Digital Marketing, they're really big on those customized strategies we've been talking about. And I think that's a total game changer in today's market.
Totally. But let's be real. Finding the perfect agency can feel pretty overwhelming. There are so many out there. So for anyone who's thinking, okay, I'm convinced about outsourcing, but where do I even start? What's the first step?
First, you got to get really clear on your goals. What are you hoping to achieve with your marketing? Is it getting your name out there, generating leads, driving sales, or maybe something else entirely? Once you know where you want to go, you can start figuring out how to get there, which means looking for agencies that specialize in those areas.
It's like planning a trip. You wouldn't just book a random flight without knowing where you want to go, right?
Right.
You need to know your destination. And then you can find the airline.
Yeah,
That works best for you. And your budget.
that's a great analogy. And just like with travel, you got to think about your preferences. Do you need an agency that's, well, really data-driven and analytical, or one that's more creative and thinks outside the box? Do you prefer a big agency with a lot of different services, or a smaller one that gives you more personal attention?
And I bet industry experience is a big deal too. You want an agency that understands your business, understands who you're trying to reach, and knows how things work in your specific industry.
Absolutely. Look for agencies that have a good track record working with businesses like yours. Check out their case studies, their client testimonials. Really look into their portfolio and see what kind of results they've gotten.
Okay, so we figured out our goals, we know what we're looking for, and we've done some research to find agencies, have the right experience. What's next? How do we narrow down the list and find the perfect fit?
Networking is always a good place to start. Talk to other business owners in your industry, see who they're working with, and get their honest feedback. There's nothing like a recommendation from someone you trust.
Word of mouth is huge. It's like getting a restaurant recommendation from a friend who has similar taste as you. You're more likely to trust them than some random review online.
Exactly. And don't forget about industry events and conferences. They're usually full of marketing agencies. Looking for new clients, it's a great way to meet people face to face, get a feel for their company culture, and see if there's a connection.
Okay, so we've got our short list of agencies. Now it's time to start interviewing them right. What are some important questions we should ask to really get to know these agencies and see if they're the right fit?
Don't just ask about their services and pricing. Dig a little deeper. Ask about their process and how they approach strategy. Ask about their team's experience, their communication style, and how they deal with challenges.
That's good. It's about finding an agency that's not just good at what they do, but also a good fit for how you work and your values. You're going to be spending a lot of time with these people, so it's really important that you feel comfortable talking openly and honestly.
Exactly. And here's a key question I always recommend asking. How do you approach customized strategies? Get into the details. Ask them how they approach. Tailor their approach to each client, what kind of data they use, and how they measure success. Their answers will tell you a lot about how committed they are to really understanding your business and getting you results.
That personalization is so crucial. You want an agency that sees you as more than just another client, right?
Yeah.
They should be genuinely excited to help you grow.
Absolutely. It's about finding a partner who's in it for the long haul, someone who's invested in your success.
All right. So we've interviewed a few agencies. We've got a good idea of what they can do, how they work, and their company culture. But let's talk about red flags. What are some signs that maybe this isn't the right fit after all?
One big red flag is a lack of transparency if they're hesitant to talk about their process, their pricing, or their past results. That's a problem.
Yeah. You want a partner who's open and honest, someone who's willing to keep you in the loop.
Another red flag is the dreaded one-size-fits-all approach if they're pitching you. A generic solution. Without taking the time to understand your business, run for the hills.
It's like they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You want an agency that's willing to build a strategy from scratch based on your goals.
Yeah.
And your brand.
And this goes back to those customized strategies we keep talking about. You want an agency that asks a lot of questions, an agency that's genuinely curious about your business and what you want to achieve.
They should be excited to help you grow.
Yeah.
And be a part of your success.
Absolutely. And finally, pay attention to your gut feeling. Do you trust these people? Do you feel like you can have honest conversations with them? Do you believe they have your best interests at heart?
Those are all good points. If the answer to any of those questions is no, it's probably best to move on.
And remember, it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
The agency should be vetting you too. They want to make sure that you're a good fit for their company culture and that they have the expertise to help you reach your goals.
So it's about finding that perfect match, an agency that's in line with your vision and your values, an agency that's just as excited about your potential as you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you find that partner, the possibilities are endless.
This has been so helpful. We've covered so much. From figuring out your goals and finding the right agency to red flags and why customized strategies are so important. But there's one big question we haven't really talked about yet, the elephant in the room, so to speak.
Oh, and what's that?
The cost. We touched on cost effectiveness earlier, but let's get real. How much does it actually cost to outsource your marketing? What kind of budget should businesses be ready for? All right, so we're back, and it's time to tackle that big question. That's probably on everyone's mind. How much does it cost to outsource your marketing? I mean, we can talk about all the benefits, but at the end of the day, it has to make financial sense, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think it's important to be realistic about it. Outsourcing your marketing. It's not some magic solution that's going to fix everything overnight. It's an investment. And like any investment, it takes careful planning and thinking.
So let's get down to brass tacks. What kind of budget should businesses have in mind when they're thinking about outsourced marketing?
Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The cost can be really different, depending on a lot of things. The services you need, how complex your industry is, the size and experience of the agency. All of that plays a role.
Okay, so it's not as easy as saying, hey, I want to outsource my marketing. How much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
It's more complicated than that.
Exactly. It's like asking how much does a house cost without saying how big it is, where it is, what features you want. You need to be specific about your needs and what you expect to get an accurate price.
Makes sense. Now let's say I'm a small business owner with a tight budget. Is outsourcing even an option for me? Or is it something that only big companies with tons of money can afford?
That's a pretty common misconception. Outsourcing can definitely work for small businesses, even if you don't have a lot of money. It's all about finding the right partner and the right pricing model.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how do I do that?
Yeah.
How do I make sure I'm getting the most for my money without going broke?
Start by talking to different agencies. Be honest about your budget. Don't be afraid to say,
This is what I can afford.
ask them about their pricing options, their payment plans, the whole shebang. A lot of agencies offer different packages or custom plans that can fit different budgets.
So it's really about finding an agency that's willing to work with you, understand your financial situation, and create a plan that fits your budget.
Exactly. And remember, those performance-based pricing models we were talking about earlier, those can be great for businesses that don't have a lot of money because you only pay when the agency gets you results.
Right. It takes some of the risk away.
Yeah.
You're not just throwing money away. You're investing in outcomes.
Yeah.
That actually affect your profits.
Right. And don't forget about those long-term cost savings we talked about earlier. When you factor in the costs of hiring, training, and managing a team yourself, outsourcing can actually save you money over time.
So it's not just about the initial price tag.
Yeah.
It's about the overall impact on your finances.
Right. And don't underestimate the value of your time. As a business owner, your time is precious. Outsourcing can free up so much time that you can use for other things in your business, like developing new products, building relationships, or just taking a break.
So it's not just a financial investment. It's an investment in your sanity and well-being.
Absolutely.
This has been such a great conversation. We've covered so much. The benefits, the
Yeah.
challenges, the practical side of things. When it comes to outsourcing your marketing, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will remember?
I think the most important thing is that outsourcing isn't a magic bullet. It's a strategic decision that you need to think about carefully. But when it's done right, it can be a game changer for any business.
I completely agree. It's about finding the right partner, coming up with the right strategy, and choosing the right pricing model to reach your business goals. And remember, it's not just about handing off tasks. It's about getting access to expertise, scaling up your efforts effectively, and freeing up your time to focus on what you're really good at.
And it's about customization, finding an agency. That will create a strategy that's made just for you. That's where the real magic happens.
So well put. One last question. If you could leave our listeners with something to think about, what would it be?
If you could get back all the time and energy you spend on marketing right now, what would you do with it? What would you focus on to really move your business forward?
That's a great question. It makes us think about all the things we could do. if we weren't so bogged down by marketing every day. So to our listeners, we encourage you to explore those possibilities. Think about whether outsourcing makes sense for your goals. And if it does, take that first step. Find the right partner, someone who can help you reach your full potential. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time